Well, hello there, tribe. Keith here, and I am back from an awesome day of biking and hanging out at the river. You might see I've got a little sun, even though I've been getting out every day. I've got a little bit more sun today. I am here with the founder of the Reset Academy, Dr. Mindy Pelz. Mindy, how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I did not get out in the sun today, so I'm a little envious that you got out there.
Well, it's been weird weather here in Austin. It has we've had more rain than we normally get in the spring. But the upside is that normally dry rivers are now flowing.
I love that.
And yes, it jumping in is just like, it felt like
Yeah.
it just washed away everything. It felt awesome. The bike ride back was a little dicey because the hike down to the river and coming back, my legs were kind of shot, and then I had to get on a bike. I was like, oh, what was I thinking? But it turned out okay.
Yeah, I would have never known.
It turned out fabulous. Why did this interview come about? So I'll let the cat out of the bag. We are getting ready to re-release Keto FX, and this program will roll back out in a couple weeks. And for the re-release, I interviewed a number of people, Mindy being one of them, and she gave such an awesome interview about the intersection of keto diet, fasting, and immunity that I thought we should have her on here because she also, like I said, is the founder of the Reset Academy. She knows a little bit about this and about how to coach compliance and about the factors that are involved in helping somebody comply.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she didn't just appear. And I said off camera to Mindy that knowledge is learned, wisdom is earned, and she has definitely earned her stripes. So
Thank
Mindy,
you.
can you tell people
Yeah.
how you got here?
Yeah, I'm laughing because earning your stripes in the health world means that you had to suffer for a brief moment of time and go searching for your own answers.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, like you and I talked on our interview, there has been 2 times in my life where the keto and fasting lifestyle really saved me. And the first was 30 years ago when I was in my early 20s. I had been diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome. And nobody really knew what to do with me except one holistic doctor who put me on what we call the Candida diet, or what he called the Candida diet, which was really keto. He just had me eat meat and vegetables and fat, and what appeared to be something that was a condition that was going to stick with me for years turned around in the matter of weeks. And so at that moment in my early 20s, I was really got the message that diet matters and that what you eat can either speed up your healing or slow down your healing. And so I kind of played, we talked about this on our interview, like I played with those principles. I tried paleo, I tried keto, I tried vegetarian. Like I played with all of them to see how they made me feel. And fast forward to my 40s, as I was going through my menopause journey, like many women, I'm now 50, like many women, I came back to really strict keto and fasting and found that I really thrived again with that as far as energy and weight loss, but that my hormones really tanked, my progesterone, estrogen, testosterone. So things like working out, I wasn't motivated to work out. I wasn't like, I'd get anxious a lot. I wasn't sleeping. And those were things where I had to make some modifications now to my keto and fasting lifestyle. So when you say earning my stripes, yeah, I spent a lot of time playing with the principles of diet and really figuring out what was right for me. And wow, that's 30-year journey. I learned a lot in those 30 years.
Right. And in the South, we say that you have to get drugged behind the truck a little bit before you learn your lessons.
Yes.
Shout out to my dad who told me that as a kid. I don't know how many times. How many times
Yeah.
you're gonna have to be drugged behind the truck before you forget? So
it's so true. Well, it's like you and I talked about this, that like what technically cured me, from this chronic fatigue situation, which I did have high amounts of Epstein-Barr, so there was an immune piece there, was a keto diet. But then I had to go try vegetarian and like get an idea of what that was like for about 10 years before I came back to that and went, I think keto actually is a better formula for me.
Right. And so This is super interesting. So when did the coaching side of it come in, and I'm leading up to how you formulated and why you formulated the Reset Academy, but we had again in that other interview, we had a discussion of, from the coach's point of view, what it takes to get compliance from your clients, which is not as easy as saying, I need you to
Yeah.
do A, B, and C. If it
Yeah.
were only that easy.
Right. Right. Well, so I think that there's a lot of steps to that. The first thing, and I know we're preaching to the choir here with your audience, but the first thing is that people need to understand their bodies. Like we've never been given a manual on how this body works. So one of the things that I found with compliance is that it's easy to not trust a process that you don't understand. But once you understand the process, then the compliance becomes much easier. So when I'm coaching people, I basically start with this idea that we need to get you metabolically flexible. And in order to do that, I've got to switch you over from this sugar burner that you've been for so many years into this fat burner. And let me tell you why you were born to be a fat burner. And this is where, the paleo movement has done such a great job of teaching us how our primitive ancestors were designed. And once you understand the design of the body, it's really hard to doubt it. It's like, you just know that this thing we're living in, like I mentioned in the interview, is like a Lamborghini. It is so well tuned, and it has so many gifts and bells and whistles to give us. We just haven't been taught how to drive it. So I think as far as compliance goes, we have to start with a really good understanding of what our body was designed to do. And that's when you mentioned the Reset Academy, that's what I do in my Reset Academy. I do it on my YouTube channel. I'm just trying to take people back to the basics and go, okay, let's rise above the noise and let's look at why, what your body was designed to do.
Awesome. And we on, or am I not? I'm back.
Yeah, I lost you for a minute. I'm here.
I'm back. Elena is shouting out from Tampa. Hello from Tampa. Say hello to JJ Virgin. She's out in Tampa there, Elena. And Vicenta, do I have that right? From Lubbock, Texas. Guns up. Texas Tech. Right on. And Clearwater, Florida. Kelly, hello. Welcome.
Awesome.
Mindy, what would you say if we're talking about a support network as well, which is the Reset Academy is huge on that.
Yeah.
Support and being in a journey with like-minded people with a like mission is critical. I mean, people love that. And I've always said that if like Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig or any of these had the right dietary advice, it would be awesome because they have leveraged community and they do it in a really good way. Now, in my opinion, I don't agree with their dietary advice, but they have the community thing figured out.
Yeah. I've been using a new phrase called that I heard from somebody but it typifies my membership, my Reset Academy, is that community is immunity. That and you could apply that to anything.
It's quite literally true, by the way, but
right. Depends on what community you're hanging around. That's right. Are you gonna get lifelong immunity or not from your community? These are good questions. So I don't understand why we do health on our own. I don't, why is health an individual thing? We do, if you look at churches, we do spirituality in a group, we do teams in a group, we do education in a group.
We do CrossFit in a group.
We do CrossFit in a group. Why do we do health in a group or individually? And so what I started to realize, because we started doing fast together, and we would do a 5-day fast, I realized that people needed that community support. They needed to know that just knowing in their own brain that other people were going through the same experience that they were going through. And they needed not just one leader, they needed multiple leaders. So that's what my Reset Academy is about, is it's teaching keto and fasting, hormone balancing, because large part of my audience is menopausal women that are like going through that experience. We teach, we've got people that are wanting to figure out how to build muscle, build immunity, and we use the principles of keto and fasting in that environment.
Right. And it is so important too. And I think it's so important for people to realize that if they have someone to look to, right? And this is something else that I will, another shout out to Jenny Craig and White Watchers and the way they do it, especially the way that they have the leaders of those individual groups, meetup groups, have come from, they were just a client at one point.
Yep.
And the clients know that. That's how they matriculate through. Oh, she or he couldn't do it. It's possible. And the same thing happens in any organization or anything that is arduous. I'm sure the same thing happened to you when you played tennis in college. It happened to me when I played football in college. You come from an environment where you're the everything, and you get tossed into an environment where you're just another kid that's got some talent. And then they haze you, and you go through the whole freshman thing, but you always look at the guys in the upperclassmen who were there. They made it. You're like, if they can make it, I can make it too. And it's powerful. And I, take all of that away. Would I have endured all of that as a freshman, not knowing what it would be on there? Yeah, I don't know. I know it's an interesting question. It would have been a hell of a lot harder. I can say that.
Yeah. And even in this day and age, we're so blessed to have so much access to health information. You can go to YouTube, you can go to Facebook. I mean, you can go to people's websites and you can learn so much. But I always say you just have the pieces of the puzzle. You haven't really figured out how to put the puzzle together.
Right.
So, and for most of the people that I see in our academy, is their family members, their friends aren't necessarily doing keto or fasting. And so they're trying to put their own puzzle together, but it's easy to get derailed because of exactly what you said. They don't have people ahead of them to see what it would look like if they hung in there another 6 months, another year. What's possible? So what we created in the Reset Academy is we do monthly calls. I have courses in there. We have what I call cohort leaders, people that lead people through different, we call them metabolic resets, where we use the principles of keto and fasting to reset your metabolism. And so we're all a community, but then everybody has a leader that has lived it and is guiding people through the process. And it's been transformative. I'm a big fan of, like, with health, and especially when it comes to weight loss, like I want you to feel amazing in your body, but I don't think the goal is for all of us to fit into our skinny jeans. The goal is for us to just love what we're living in. And so when I look at, like, my cohort leaders in my academy, they're all different shapes, sizes, backgrounds, ages, but what they have done is lived the principles.
Right.
And that's what's uber important to me.
Yeah. And I found out from being in coaching that, a drive for someone's vision of perfection, whatever that vision was, it got too mental. There was all this emotion tied up. And so at the root of that was some kind of a trauma, some kind of a something. Yep. And if you could get to the root of that and figure out what that was, everything else just kind of took care of itself.
That's right. Yeah.
So a lot of these, like an eating disorder, or, I don't want to go fully derail, but a lot of it is a distraction for what the true trauma is.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just distraction after distraction. So you don't have to dive inside and deal with that, which I get. But to have a support network to help you through that and help you through that path is.
Yeah. And for us all, regardless of what your nutritional beliefs are, I think a great question to ask is, how is the body designed to be fed? How is it designed to, when was it designed to be fed? Like, these are questions that we need to go back to our primitive ancestors and say, how are we designed? And what most people are finding, and again, I know I'm preaching to the choir, what most people are finding is that we were designed completely different than the way that we're going after health and weight loss and immune system and all of that right now. We have to go back to those roots and then surround ourselves with people with that belief, and then people that are showing that example. And that's really, the Reset Academy was just born out of that. Like, how do we help the masses in this? Because this thing we're born in it's incredible. It's incredible. And we just don't give it enough credit, nor do we have enough strategies to tap into its own power.
It is awe-inspiring when if you take an opportunity to think about this beautiful machine that we're walking around in, it's just amazing
Amazing.
that it does what it does day
Yeah.
after day after day after day. And the
Yeah.
intelligence that's just inherent in this body's just
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Mindy, let's talk about fasting or intermittent fasting and the whole spectrum and where that fits into your diet. And I will just say that right now, it's what is it, 6:20 Central here. I haven't eaten yet today
Nice.
at all. Did all of that bike riding, did all of that swimming, came back, and I can say this: I can smell dinner being cooked upstairs. It's kind of
You're ready to hop off.
wrapping through, but it's beautiful to be able to sit sometimes and just go, oh, that's what hunger feels like.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay, cool.
Yeah.
I can ride this out. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And I could, if I wanted to, it would be difficult because it smells awesome downstairs. Just go ahead and ride this out for a couple days. But enough about that. Where does fasting fit in with you and your clientele? And is it something that you give people a while to become fat adapted first before they dive into it? Is that how
Yeah.
you approach it?
Yeah. So I believe that from the research that I've seen and just working with people, that there's about 7 different fasts that you can go through. Intermittent fasting being sort of the beginning fast, all the way up to, what I call the Mac Daddy of fast, which is your 5-day, 3 to 5 day water fast.
Right.
But there's a lot of steps in between. And what I want to do is help people build a fasting lifestyle. So you figure out which fast to pull out when you need that fast. So
Right.
let's use you as an example. You're going on a long ride. You've got a very active day ahead of you. Super smart to fast and not eat before that, because as the day goes on, you're going to get more ketones and your body's going to have more energy, and you're going to turn into this fat burning tool that is going to know how to deliver you energy and mental clarity. So I love using it for things like that.
Right.
Whereas a woman who's struggling with her hormones might decide that she needs to fast a little less. That we talked about this, about how you would come out of ketosis, maybe do a little less fasting, and then when she feels like her hormones are more balanced or it's past her menstrual cycle, she would go back into more fasting. So the 7 fasts are really tools that you can use to go in and out. Right now, with where we are with the virus and immunity, I've been encouraging everybody to intermittent fast, or at the max fast I'm encouraging people to do is 24 hours. But the research shows that the longer your blood sugar stays down, the longer you fast. So if you're going 48 hours or more, that you turn off your viral immune system. So we've got hundreds of thousands of people that we fast together every month. And I'm saying, look, 24-hour fast right now, guys. That's it. Unless you feel bulletproof. But for right now, let's keep our fast to 24 hours. Now, when we come out of this, in May and June, we're going to dive right into a 3 or 5 day water fast.
Right. It's interesting because I just interviewed Daniel Pompa yesterday for the Keto FX, and he pretty much said the same thing.
Yes. Yeah. I've learned a tremendous from that man. He's incredible, and he's got fasting nailed.
Right. Vicenta was asking a question. She says, I take thyroid medication. Whoop, I lost you.
I'm here. I'm here.
I lost the question. It says, I think there it is.
There it is.
I take thyroid medication. Will that interfere with fasting?
So it's a little bit of a complicated answer, but let me see if I can answer it succinctly for you. So the thing to remember with fasting is a healing process. So it should not interfere with your medication, although I would encourage you to tell the doctor that put you on the medication. I would really encourage a conversation with he or she. But what we see with hormones and fasting is that as you fast more, you start to heal the body more and more and more, and imbalances will reveal themselves. So I look at it like I live in an old house. I have multiple layers of wallpaper on some of the rooms in the house. As we've taken the wallpaper down, we've been surprised that there was another layer of wallpaper underneath that. Well, think of fasting like that. There's a reason. If you're taking thyroid medication, why are you taking that medication? What went wrong with the thyroid? And as you start to fast and do the ketogenic diet, you may start to see that there was maybe a toxicity issue underneath that, or maybe there was a gut imbalance. Something may reveal itself. Mm-hmm. So keep an eye out as you fast more for hair falling out, any kind of constipation, extreme fatigue. Those are things that you may have to start to lower down your medication. That's why you want to have a good conversation with your doctor. But understand, this is not like Weight Watchers. You're actually healing your body. Right. And in healing that, you may find you need less medication.
Right. Right. Very, very, very prescient. The Reset Academy, is this for like all levels, all spectrums? So somebody that is like, oh, I didn't know sugar was bad for me, all the way up to someone who's accomplished and has a full tool belt of dietary acumen.
Yeah. So we have 17 different courses in the Reset Academy, and a lot of them are some of the resets that I've created. Like I have a women's keto and fasting course in there. I've got a 15-day metabolic reset. I've got a gut repair reset in there. So you can go in and you can do the different courses. And that's awesome. And I think what's even the best part of it is that we do 2 calls a month, and they're Q&A calls. And we all get on as a community, and people ask me questions, or we open it up for discussion. And people can really start to put their own health puzzle together. So I'll have, just like the question that was just asked, I'll have people come to me and say, okay, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Here's where I'm getting stuck. Can you help me with this? And we talk about it in a group environment. Right now, I'm really teaching them immunity. So we've been talking, and I actually stepped up the calls to once a week, and we are exercising together every Saturday. So we have about 5 to 6 calls. We're about to do a book study together. We're going to do Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
Right, great.
Together. Yeah. So it's a really cool group of all different levels. And I think the common denominator is they want to learn, and they want to know how to apply keto and fasting and diet variation. I'm not just about withdrawal. I believe in feasting as well.
Right.
So it's for people who want to customize their own health path.
And especially when you talk about feasting, especially for females, this is very important depending on where they are in their cycle, correct?
Oh, absolutely. And that was part of my journey, as I was doing a ton of keto and fasting, and then found out that my hormones were tanking, and yet I wasn't fully through menopause. And so I had to learn how to vary it according to my cycle. And we get a lot of women postmenopausal that come in, and they're like years away. You know, they haven't had a period in years, but they still have the symptoms. They still have hot flashes. They're still not sleeping. So what we do is when they come into the academy, is we help them troubleshoot that and figure out what they need to do to heal themselves.
Right. We talked about this on the interview too, Mindy, but going back to my training days, and I just happened to train, I had a high base of type A personality, attorney, CEO, female clientele. And being type A, they brought that mentality to diet and fitness. And if they stalled in losing weight or something they wanted, number one, to double down on their workouts, and number two, to double down on their keto diet.
Yep.
And I was like, let's not double down on the keto, but trying to get them to refeed and get some carbohydrates in their system to get some metabolic flexibility going, that it was just so difficult for them to turn that switch when every other aspect in their lives, performance-wise, doubling down was the answer. But it's not the answer with training and diet, and especially when it comes to females and the hormonal aspect.
Yeah. And I have a book that actually is coming out on Amazon this week. It just went up this morning, I believe.
Oh, what's it called?
It's called The Menopause Reset.
Nice.
And so it was my journey through my 40s. I'm 50 now. And I had 5 things that I realized needed to change in my in my lifestyle in order for me to get through those menopause years. Fasting was one of them, building a fasting lifestyle. Keto was definitely one of them, repairing my gut, detoxing, and then what I call, I didn't name this, but I really resonate with it. It's called rushing woman syndrome, where, we're just on the go. And that woman you're talking about, like we overdo everything. We over schedule ourselves, we overwork out ourselves. And when we want to solve any problem, we assume that we need to overdo something.
Right.
And so one of the things I had to do is undo the rushing woman syndrome.
Oh my God, I'm going back to those days of just trying to talk them off the cliff. Which is just, maybe I need to fast for 3 days. I'm like, no, you don't need to fast for 3 days.
I know.
You need to chill out and eat something. Eat. That was a difficult difficult journey.
Yeah.
I loved it, and it was difficult. You learned so much about human psychology working as a trainer. I always say, you want to learn psychology, bartend or train.
Right. I bet.
You will learn.
Yeah.
Mindy, it's been wonderful talking with you. Thanks for taking time out of your day to come on and chat with us.
Oh, my pleasure. And like I told you on the summit, I just am so grateful for everything you guys are doing. We have such a cool opportunity right now where people have more time. That's rarely the case.
Right.
And with information like this can change people's lives. I mean, it's crazy how something as simple as a summit, it's not simple for you to put on, but simple to sit down and watch, can transform somebody's health. So thank you for everything you guys are doing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming on. And I always tell people, it's never too late to begin your health journey. Start now. You have the time, you have resources, beautiful online resources to help you out. And now is a great time to make a change for the better for your health.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I love the reset word. Is I just wanted people to know that sometimes you can just hit that reset button.
Yep.
And you start anew. The body's forgiving like that. So love it.
Awesome. You bet, Vicenta. Enjoy it up in Lubbock. And all you other fine folks, we will be back in a short period of time with another Facebook Live. Just keep an eye on the page. And I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. We've got this. We can do this. We're going to come out stronger on the other side of everything. Dr. Pelz, Mindy, thank you very much for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yes.